Hey, good morning. I'm Musings episode number 328, and we are live, unless you're watching us on the replay.
True.
So- What's going on, Scott?
It's November 1st. I hope everyone
Yeah.
had a good Halloween. We had a little snow out here during.
Never saw it.
No, yeah, we had. It was a good snowfall yesterday evening, but none of it stuck. It was just once it landed, it melted. But
Yeah, I saw pictures of Jackson, Michigan, and they had it looked like a nice covering.
Oh, okay, so they're stuck.
So it probably didn't last. I mean, it's coming up as this today, anyways. But I think it was one of those things where, excuse me, it kind of came down and stuck for a moment, and then probably melted.
Yeah,
it came down a little harder in some areas than others, but I guess up north they got several inches though, up and towards UP in that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So first snow of the year, we go from 70 weeks
to
70 degrees last week. So
and just
I think we have a delay on both our ends.
Yeah, Michigan winters and falls.
Yeah.
So but it had a busy week and things are going good. How about you?
Yeah, I did the Fort Wayne Fantasticon last weekend with Kevin. It was great to visit with him a little bit, and a couple of the kids were around, and then came home and I worked all day Monday, and then I had yesterday off to catch up on things I've been trying to catch up for weeks. Still behind.
Still behind.
Yep. So I had to. I wanted to get my smoker, my grill cleaned out. I hadn't done that in a couple months, so it was time to get those cleaned up, getting ready for the holiday smokes that'll be coming up.
There you go.
Yeah.
The holiday season's soon upon us. WNIC, I believe they typically do the first Friday after Halloween for Christmas music. So if that holds up, then that will be 2 more days Christmas music on that radio.
Yeah,
so
I was going to pull up their website
in quick.
And we'll pull up their website and just take a look real quick, see if they got anything listed on that.
I took advantage of the 70-degree day to get Jill's Christmas lights up and my mom's up. We don't have them plugged in yet, but I got them all hung, so at least that part's done. Nothing worse than trying to do Christmas lights with your fingers freezing.
Well, that's the thing to do is when you get in October, especially that late in October, to get a 70-degree day.
Yeah.
And of course, the downside to that 70-degree is it dropped 25 degrees the next day, and it gave me this upper respiratory crap. Not a cold, just it messes with my asthma and everything else. It causes me to have an upper respiratory slight infection, but nothing contagious.
Right.
No COVID.
I don't have the COVID.
Yes, it's not COVID. So it was. We had a nice couple of days last week. I was back wearing shorts while working because it was quite warm.
Yeah, it got warm there a couple of days.
The stores I shop in really didn't cut the heat either. So I walked in and it was just roasting. I was like, oh my God. I still saw people in 70-degree weather though, wearing like winter coats. And I was like, really, people? It's Michigan. Y'all should be. This is like, midsummer weather.
Well, and then of course, being Michigan, we also have the year-round Michigan shorts guy. Come February when it's minus 40, you can guarantee someone will be out there in shorts still.
I used to. I don't do it as much anymore because as I gotten older, I still run quite warm, but it's not the same. But God, when I was in college, especially, I had to because the school buildings were all just roasting, and then it was just easier to just wear shorts, and then put a hoodie on or something or a sweatshirt and go between classes. So
right.
But yeah, it just it would get way too warm because I sit in class and you're wearing too much clothes, and all of a sudden you're falling asleep because it's just way like 90 degrees. It feels like.
Right.
So,
well, should we get our ad reads out of the way?
Yeah. Why don't you go ahead and get it started?
All right. So we've got Team Titans Real Estate. Why? Because you matter. That's right. Even though we utilize the latest in tools and technology to maximize your home buying and selling experience, we never forget at its core, it's a people business. And last night, Jill and I were out getting a new listing signed up. And this is it here. Unfortunately, the price strategically blocks the front of the house. So I'll have to pull up a different picture here. But it's a really good house, just under 1,200 square feet. A lot of updates in it as far as the roof is only a year old. AC is a year old, those kind of things. New floors, new carpet, new vinyl plank flooring inside. So it's a really nice house. And I'll just quickly click through some of the pictures. But if this is something you might want, it's in Clinton Township, and it's near 15 Mile and Little Mac. If you know that area, if you don't know that area, Gratiot, you might know 15 and Gratiot. So it's a very well kept house, and really cool. This is really cool. They have this feature where it cuts up. It's almost like a tray ceiling. It's not quite that, but it's this large cutout. So it gives a neat architectural feeling to the kitchen, more modern feel. So it's a pretty nice house. 2 bedrooms, 1 bath. It's on a triple sized lot. So it's a big yard, 2.5 car garage, updated bath. So if this looks like something you might want, give us a call. 586-232-5144 is our number. And we have an open house this Saturday, noon to 2. So you can just pop in unexpected, but send me a message. And if you want the address, or I can send you a listing ticket as well.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then we also have Loringer Family Chiropractic Center, PC, located in Belleville, Michigan, and Dexter, Michigan. And they take great pride in providing the finest chiropractic care to each and every patient, offering on-site digital x-rays, orthotics by foot levelers, young limb essential oils, aromatherapy, full line of vitamins, all in a family-oriented environment. Give them a call, 734-697-4244.
Yeah. Excellent. So before we get too started, I think we should pop in really quick. Present share. Let me share the screen real quick, because this was a shock to everybody. Matthew Perry passing away.
It's one of those things that we haven't heard too much about his addiction levels lately. We know he's been struggling forever.
Yeah. But so from they released a little bit from the autopsy report. They're still waiting on final toxicology, but that'll
be a few months.
Yeah, but he was taking medication for chronic respiratory illnesses that was probably from the drug and alcohol use he had over the years.
Yep.
So he was on those kind of things. Everything they found in the house, it was all legal. But sometimes things can mix wrong. But even if not, years of abuse takes a toll on the body, and
And there was someone that posted on Facebook. I'm not gonna say who. I think they're just being a dumbass in my opinion, because it's like they're criticizing everybody for posting stuff, and then they go and post he had a heart attack and drowned after having a heart attack. It's like, wait a minute, you don't know this either. Why are you just saying that?
Yeah, that's speculation.
Because anything could happen. He could have just died. I mean, it's with the years of abuse. I mean, as you know, a heart attack comes on. You may have had signs for a while and got in the hot tub, and that exasperated it, and it happened, and nobody was there to be there with him. But it's a shame, because no matter what anybody says, they all talk about how great a guy he was, how much he struggled with his addictions. And the thing is too is with his addictions, I mean, it's over 30 years of him dealing with these addictions. You didn't hear anything like on the Robert Downey Jr. level or anything like that. It was stuff he dealt with himself, and he didn't. I mean, it always affects other people, but he didn't come out and do things that truly affected other people.
He didn't like commit crimes against others to steal drugs or whatever. And but he recently came out with a book, and in an interview he said the whole reason for him putting out this book is because he has struggled, and it's not to say look at me. He did it because his exact words were, well, I'll paraphrase, but his words were, when somebody is a celebrity and they go through this kind of thing, if I can put out how hard I had it, and it can make someone else feel like, well, geez, they even went through this. And if I can give them hope, or give them some type of, there's a light at the end of the tunnel, I want to share my story for them. So, he wanted the information to get out to help others who were in similar situations. And even in his death, like the person saying, don't share this stuff, whatever the truth ends up being, I think he would, like, if it is tied to years of abuse or whatever, I think he would want people to know as a warning, because that was part of the reason why he did his book.
Oh yeah. And I did Bob and Tom shows too on Monday morning, and they were talking about it, and I said that they've Chick McGee read the book and he actually listened to the audio, and I guess he
Oh,
did the audio recording, so it was
oh,
him.
okay.
But when little search from different people on the book, I mean, the one thing is he's going to be remembered for Friends. There's no way around it. That's what they talk about the most on all the stuff. He really wanted to be remembered for everything else he tried to do to help those with addictions. I mean, he was even setting up, like part of his house as a place for people to come to. He's working on some new foundation stuff because he was all about trying to help people with addictions
Yeah,
and go from
he
there.
really shaped him.
And one thing I did hear, he started doing pickleball recently, so that's a good, exercise. I mean, I saw a couple of pictures from just the last couple of weeks. He actually looked better than he did on
Yeah.
the French reunion.
Well, I think he actually, I believe he was just coming back from pickleball. They got home,
Yeah,
and so he had either his assistant needs to go do something, or he asked them to go do something. But like he had to go to a store or something, so he went in the pool while to kind of relax after pickleball. And
yeah,
when that person came back, he was unresponsive at that point.
yeah,
So a lot could have happened. I personally don't think he was using at the time. I think it was just unfortunately, it takes a toll on the body. It
yeah.
ages the organs, and he was struggling with chronic respiratory issues from the past. So, but
And I think,
time will tell.
yeah, they'll that's the toxicology. I'm really hoping it's
Yeah.
nothing he overdid, but
But I will
um,
say, like, Jill and I are huge Friends fans. We watch it quite a bit, and just as funny as the show, if not funnier, are the bloopers. And
yes,
usually he's at the center of those. So you can see personality wise, I think he was Chandler.
yeah.
Like
Well,
he would
I
ad
read
lib a lot of his jokes on the spot, and it was
I
very
read something
funny.
about that when he was not the original first actor for that role. There was another
Yeah.
actor,
I can't remember
and
who.
it wasn't working out, so they brought him in last minute. And he read this, and he's like, it was so surprised, hey, this is like they wrote it for me, because it's like jokes based, and he started throwing his own jokes. And some of the things he did and said was, hey, I think you would say this, and it was early on, so he contributed a lot of the quips in that, saying this is what
Yeah.
I would have said. And everybody said it was, if you knew him personally, he was Chandler and Chandler was him. It really wasn't a stretch in the acting realm for that, because
Right.
of it was who he was. But yeah, just he's a great actor. Who, if I'd love to have seen more from him, but unfortunately, all the addictions have taken over. And since the Friends ended, he's done a few things here and there, but not much. But the movies did in the '90s, where I enjoyed a lot of those. I liked the whole 9 yards, and even the sequel, whole 10 yards.
Which was
Uh,
the one with Bruce Willis?
that was that one, the whole 9 yards.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
that's
with
how they became friends.
Well, and that's how
And
Bruce Willis ended up on Friends. Was they made a bet on set. Bruce
yep,
Willis lost, and the bet was if you lose, you have to come on the show.
yep,
And Bruce Willis actually won an Oscar or something, some
Emmy,
award, Emmy. Thank you.
yep.
Won an Emmy for his guest appearance on Friends. It was like 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah, but I love all the bloopers. They pop up on like Instagram and all the time in the reels and
Oh,
things
they're
like that.
hilarious.
And I love seeing these different ones. A lot of them I've never seen. It's just funny because more as they've released more and more and more over the years, and I've watched them for weeks. So I mean, even before it popped up, so it was like I think even the day I heard, I'd watched a few that day, and because it
Yeah,
popped up, and just the stuff he does he was kind of like he's kind of like how Tim Conway was on the Carol Burnett show. He was the one instigating.
right.
And he would do stuff when someone messed up. He would go and do it again and
Yeah,
do the next one as they messed up and calling different names or things like that. And
yeah, like
so,
Courtney Cox in one of them. One of the big rules in acting is you don't make eye contact with the camera. So Courtney Cox is walking and she looks straight at the camera
yeah,
and she realizes it. And she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. So then they redo it and she does her part. And then as Chandler's walking, he's like
yeah.
looking
Well, he
right
did a
at the
couple like
camera.
that where they happened, and he would do his bit and then turn to the camera and like mug it real quick, and
Yeah.
and something like
Yep.
that. So he was really good about that. And but yeah, just a lot of fun stuff. That
So
so
he liked to make people laugh and he did that. And he
yeah,
will continue for a long time. I mean, it's a massive show in reruns. And
yeah. Well, and his
so,
residuals.
it's,
I mean, I don't know how his family structure was set up with in passing, who's going to handle what, but I know he's trying to set up this foundation, stuff like that. I'm really hoping that his residuals and all that stuff go into something like that to help out.
yeah.
Because it's something he really had a passion for, and it's a shame he He isn't going to be around to see it fulfilled.
Yeah. So rest in peace. Thank you for the laughs.
And we had a couple other ones this last couple weeks here. We had Richard Roundtree, Shaft. He died.
Oh, that's right. He was 81.
81. Yeah, I met him a couple times at shows. One of the times was down in Tennessee at the Adventure Con. This was like around 2009 or 10. And they always had a Saturday night party, and because we were guest artists there, they always said, "Well, you guys need to come out, because since you guys," and we'd always make an appearance after dinner. We go grab a tea, come back, and he's sitting there, and I'm sitting there drinking a beer, and I looked over, and I said, "You had to come too," and he goes, "Yep," because it was just a few people were over dancing. I mean, the ones that were having fun was actually Doug Jones and his legion of fans were all around him because Doug's out there dancing and doing his crazy crab walk stuff and things like that. So yeah, I mean, I met him a couple times. Just nice guy, very genuine, at least at the shows and stuff like that. And then he died of pancreatic cancer. And then I don't know if we mentioned last week, Burt Young died. Paulie from the Rocky movies.
Oh,
so and a million other things. I mean, he was more than that. He was done. He's one of those we remember more for that. But
he really was a boxer too when he was in the Marines, if I remember right.
I believe so. Yeah,
he was in the military. I forget what branch, but he was a boxer in the military. But yeah, Paulie.
Yeah, he was funny. I always liked he did the role well. I know Family Guy made fun of one time. They were like, they did a thing about Rocky, and it was like he goes, "Hey, look what Rocky bought me." He's on like a Segway or something like that. But he had done a ton of stuff over the years. I mean, he goes all back like things like prior to Rocky, like Chinatown, classic movie, things like that. You'd pop up long after that in different things. Just a good actor all the way around. And that's another one that's kind of a shame to see gone.
Yeah, for sure.
Saw him at Motor City a few years ago. In fact, I was staying it's the 1 year we stayed at the hotel there that's attached to the convention center before they said you can't do that anymore. Yeah. They blocked it out. And I was downstairs having breakfast with Tommy Castillo, and he come down and Tommy said hi, and he stopped for a second, said hey, and kept on going. So yeah, very cool. So, but yep.
I have a big announcement.
Yeah.
I told you before, but Brett still outranks me, but I gotta throw some of my weight around here and just announce here. I am officially on IMDb. Yeah. I'm an associate producer in my credits. So Comic-Cons, you can start inviting me as guest spots. I will do signings. Brett has 2 IMDb credits, so between us, that's 3. So, I mean, we're entering the big leagues here.
Yeah.
So,
there's mine.
So, there you go. There you go.
Yeah. Hate You in a Minute, and then as a additional crew, I did production and that work on it. And then Five Must Die, I was feature victim number 2.
Yes.
So, and I've got a little bit of information up there on me, and it says Ann Arbor, Michigan. Was actually I was born in FC, but I put Ann Arbor.
That would be like a cool comic book title, Future Victim number 2.
Yeah. And then
so that was just a fun little thing. It was just some local movie makers. They were in a competition, and I helped fund just small donation, and one of the rewards was kind of like Kickstarter. One of the rewards was you are listed as an associate producer.
Right.
So there's I just tipped my toe into Hollywood there.
Yeah. Well, funny story about mine is I did the movie in 2017, and it was just a one-day thing. Helped finish out the movie, shot in Ypsilanti, Michigan here. And a good friend of mine, Kevin James, had put out the word, say, "Hey, I need somebody," and I messed her away. He said, "Hey, I'm free today. I'll come out." But I'm in San Diego with you in 2019, and I'm walking around doing all kinds of stuff. I go get in line for the they're giving away a free Cuphead poster for the animated show that was coming out on Netflix, and then the guys that created were signing them. So I get in line, and as I get up to go into the little booth area to have them sign it, the girl that's standing there is working as a volunteer, grabs her, she goes, "Are you an actor?" I said, "Well, yes, I am. My new movie, Five Must Die, is on Amazon Prime right now." She says, "I thought so."
So those 3 seconds made an impression on her.
Yeah, well, it's because I'm wearing a pro badge and not thinking comic pro. She's thinking I must be a movie pro or something. And
Right.
and I've actually been accused of being an expert many times over the years. And
Accused.
I get people that go, "I know you. We've met." No, we've never met. It's like Erin Gray from Buck Rogers. First time I met her, she goes, "We've met before." I said, "No, we haven't, Erin." She goes, "Oh, yes, we have." And it went back when I finally looked and said, "Yes, we have met." She goes, "I knew it." I said, "And you still owe me $20." Okay, so we've never met before.
I like that. That's a good response.
Yeah.
You owe me
So
20.
yeah. So something I've been doing this last few weeks too is I don't know if I don't think I've talked about this. I haven't talked about this book, have I?
We briefly did because somehow
Okay.
Airplane came up and you mentioned you were reading it, but I
Yeah.
don't think you went into
I
real
am
detail.
about 2/3 of the way through. I want to look finish it, and I think I did. But I'll tell you what, this would be a great book to read if you want to understand comedy because they talk a lot about how they do their comedy and things like that. And it's not like the absolute only way to do it, but it's great how it explains what they did versus what other people were doing at the time and how different it was. And as much as we talk about here about comedy and writing, and just so many people don't understand comedy, this is a great way to try to understand real comedy.
Okay,
What is funny versus trying to be funny. So,
nice. Yeah,
so I definitely
that
recommend it.
was that movie was at the time pretty
Mhm.
groundbreaking in how it did comedy.
Well, the way they did it is great because it's all the main actors, especially the older guys, were all playing it straight. It was
Right.
played serious. They weren't giving them stuff to do to be completely stupid. Although Lloyd Bridges, with his, picked a bad week to quit doing insert drug,
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then I talked a little about the guy that was in it too. He was on there in their stage productions and did other stuff with them. But he's the one that jumped in there and goes, and Leon's getting larger, and talk about how he was just funny naturally. And they didn't say it this way, but I would, is it sounds very much like a Robin Williams natural where it's just gonna be there. And no
Yeah.
matter what you do, you're gonna have stuff that's just gonna come out and be funny.
Nice.
So I recommend that. So definitely check that out.
Cool. A little bit of news came out yesterday. GameSpot is the website, so I don't know, but
Hmm.
a lot of shows have been being canceled on Disney Plus and others, and they have a Captain Nemo series they recently canceled, but it looks like AMC picked it up, according
Okay.
to this article. So AMC, now I don't know how far in production Captain Nemo was. I don't know if is AMC fully making everything or was it done and they just sold it the footage? I don't know, but yeah, so that was an exciting series I was looking forward to, and so it looks like it found a home there.
Okay. I had not heard about this. So I think it'd be here we go. Deadline's got something about it. Nautilus. That's gonna be the name of the
Nautilus, that's it,
series. So um I'm gonna
and
with
it's
you. So
based on it's Captain Nemo's origin stories with the Nautilus.
oh wait, you know what? I did hear about this real quick on something a while back. Um and it was yeah, I didn't see anything on it. Just sounded I was like, okay, this might be pretty cool because I always like the idea of of Jules Verne or not Jules Verne's this book, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, because there's so much they could do with that outside of the actual main storyline.
Right.
Um, but I mean, you had like the Disney movie back in the 50s, which is probably why they started with it anyways, or picked it up from whoever was going to do it. So, um, yeah, it looks like it was a Disney Plus UK commission, so it's going to be a British series.
Yeah.
Um, so it's good. And it looks like the series was shot in Australia beginning last year with support from the Australian government, it's distributed at Disney Entertainment, produced by a bunch of different places. So
Okay.
I'm wondering if, uh,
I find it interesting though them canceling shows that are done, just like their Spiderwick Chronicles.
yeah,
That was also it's fully finished, and
yeah.
they
So
they they scrapped it.
yeah, and that's going to be on Roku, which means the Roku channel is going to have
Okay,
it.
okay, so that was picked
But
up
I
by
think what's
them.
happening here is they're taking these write offs. There's so many losses they've had, and
Yeah,
uh, it's there's changing a lot of what they're doing, and I think a lot of this stuff is. I'm wondering if something like this is like, okay, we'll air it on our Disney stuff, and they may have put some money into it,
yeah,
but they're not the only one. So they're not fully. I think what we're going to see is if they were fully responsible for the series, then they will bring it on theirs. Other thing is this is they may have had hands say, hey, we're not going to carry it. They threw it out there, AMC picked it up right away, knowing that they could air it. And
Yeah. Well, in the quote it says for AMC, this is someone from AMC talking. Nautilus is a big sweeping drama that is sure to appeal to fans of our Anne Rice Immortal Universe and
okay,
other buzzy and fan forward series like Orphan Black Echoes. So I guess they have a continuing series for the Orphan Black.
yeah.
Um, we are looking forward to bringing it to AMC. I am curious about the Anne Rice Immortal Universe. I didn't hear about that. I don't know what that is.
Well, that's the that was the Interview with the Vampire series they do.
Oh, was that an original? Was that a? Is that a remake of the?
Well, it's based on the books, not a
Oh,
remake of the movies.
right.
So that it's directly from
Okay.
the books more. And the first season was like the first book.
Okay.
I saw it at San Diego a couple years ago. I was sitting in the panel and they talked about it. I haven't watched it yet. I know it was on
Yeah.
AMC Plus, and I think it aired on AMC. And I think they've got 2 seasons now, and
Okay.
they're looking to do. I mean, what they're trying to do is, what they did with Walking Dead is create different universes and stuff.
Right.
Um, and they know. I think a lot of it is, even though they have a lot of new Walking Dead stuff, that's about done.
Yeah. They. The people who've hung on this long are staying on board, and watching it still. But the people they lost, like for me, I was a big fan, and little clips I've seen of like the Daryl Dixon one looks good, but
Yeah.
I lost. They lost me, and it's just like, do I really want to jump back in?
Well,
You
I had
know?
my nephew ask me a couple weeks ago, "You watch any Walking Dead?" I said, "No, I haven't watched it in years." I said, "I got tired of it. It's boring."
Yeah,
He goes, "Oh, the new stuff's been really good," and I'm like, "Yeah, he's 15 going on 16, so
yeah. It
he's probably
looks good. The
enjoying it."
clips
But
I've seen, it just
I just don't know
it's
if I
like,
want to take the time,
yeah.
because
Do I want to take the time to catch up on these characters,
yeah,
reinvest myself, and then only am I going to be burned again the way they burnt? I mean, Scott Gimple really ruined the
yeah,
series. That the importance of showrunners, like we talked about in the previous week.
right.
So, um, the other thing too, talk about Disney and cancellations and delays. Did you see Snow White is now pushed back to 2025,
Yes, and they did release a image of the dwarves and her.
which
Um,
is not what they were originally advertising.
no, so they've changed that. I think they're doing a lot of reshoot stuff, but you
And
know
I
what?
think they're also hoping people by 2025 forget her stupid comments that she's been making.
Right, and they probably told her you need to be quiet. So, um, I
Even
mean,
with Hunger Games, she's in the upcoming Hunger Games prequel movie,
yeah,
and when you read through the comments, it's just filled with people saying, "I was interested until I saw her,"
yeah,
and people don't want to see it because of her.
yeah. There's a thing there. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit here. So that's the
Originally, they
they shared. It looks animated almost.
well, a big
So
part
it's
of
a
the
lot of
problem was
CGI of these guys, but
yeah. Well, part of the big problem too was Tyrion Lannister,
mhm.
uh, aka oh god, what's his real name?
That's Rachel Zegler. Yeah.
What's the name of the Tyrion? Anyways, they were talking about casting dwarves for this movie,
Mhm.
little people, and then he did this big rant about.
Peter Dinklage.
Thank you, Peter Dinklage. He did a rant, and then the other little people were mad at him, like, "Oh, well, it's nice for you to kill our jobs," because so they got rid of them. Then they were casting normal sized people to play
Mhm.
the dwarves, which didn't go well, and now they're doing CGI characters to play the dwarves. So Disney just can't do anything right, but it's because they're
I
constantly trying to play to the woke people. Just make something.
I mean, the thing is, this: I don't know anybody that's excited about a live action Snow White movie. I mean,
No,
first of all, we've had other versions done the last several years, like The Huntsman and whatever else, these offshoots of the original Fable, not Disney esque, but remaking the original Disney thing. I mean, it's what I hate is they go through and they want to change stuff, and they change things that doesn't make it any better. Look at Aladdin. I mean, I'm sorry, they had the wrong person playing the genie.
yeah,
The person was not as good comedically acting in that role, and they needed a regular comedian
right. Well, I
that
think
could go off the cuff and not be Robin Williams. but
Yeah.
still give a good performance within that type of
I
realm.
think a big part of the problem too is, you know, when you make something, why are you making it?
Yeah.
And I think the reality for Disney is they're not doing this out of passion or love or demand. It's we got to keep our copyrights.
Yep.
So we're just going through the motions, and we don't care if it does well. We just need to keep the copyright fresh.
Right.
And so this is why it's getting mediocre results, because there's no passion, I don't think.
Yeah.
They don't care who cast. They don't care who's directing. Just make it like
Well, that's
Fantastic Four, the one movie that got shelved. None of the actors knew it at the time, but the whole intention was just to make the movie to keep the copyright, and they never intended on releasing it.
well, it wasn't the copyright. They kept it because they had the rights to make a movie. So
Right.
they did it to keep the
Yeah.
rights to make the movies, and then they
Right.
sold
Thank you.
those rights to when it came time to make good money on it
Right.
to do the first Fantastic Four movie that got released, which was okay. It was tolerable, not great.
Right.
Everybody made fun of Chickless as the thing, but it's what they did. And then they do the second one and screw that up by making Galactus a cloud,
Right.
um, and
So
still not
what?
giving us a great story. So
So for people out there, just to understand how these ownership rights work, let's say I create this product, this universe, these characters. And Brett is a studio who wants to buy the rights from me to make those. Well, one
yeah,
of the things to protect me so that my creation just doesn't end up shelved and cast into oblivion is
hmm
there'll be a line in there that might say, well, if you don't make anything, if you go 5 years or 10 years, whatever time period they pick, of not producing anything for this, the rights will revert back to me, the creator.
yeah,
So now I can shop it to other people
yeah. What is
who,
is production companies option works, and that's what they call it.
there you
So when
go.
they option work, they say, "Hey, we want to option this for a potential movie." They don't guarantee a movie at that time, but they have option it for X amount of years to develop it. Um, even locally here, the Dark Oz, that movie that was supposed to be made, that we know a couple of guys from Arrow Comics that was their creation, and they got paid like $20,000 for the option, and the movie never got made.
Right.
The guy that did it thought, I think probably realized, oh yeah, he claimed to be a rapper, but I didn't know who he was, never heard of him, but he had money and he paid. But that's what people do. They'll option stories. So I will option any of my comics with a 2-year window for $25,000. But yeah, and that's what happens is optioning happens a lot. And a lot of times though, optioning happens not with the intention of making that as a movie, because when they option it and then they had their own creation, then they bring their own thing out, they still kind of give a credit to wherever they option it from. With the changes, they have to give a minor credit to it.
Okay.
So that way it kind of protects on different story ideas that conflict that come out. So I mean, it happens a lot where you have people writing stories
Yeah.
don't know they've all wrote the same story.
Well, also what happens is, and it's a very legitimate thing, is companies will proactively buy rights to things that they have no intention of making, but they just don't want their competition to make also.
Right.
So as a creator, yeah, I want to get paid for my thing, but I also want to see my creation brought to life.
Yeah.
So if that helps protect my creation from just being thrown out, or I don't know what the terms of the contract was, but our buddy who did Mouse Guard, his
Yes.
he was they were making the movie and then Disney bought the studio, correct? You
They
know
bought
more
20th
about it,
Century Fox. I don't know the full details of everything.
right?
Basically, what it was is they were in production.
Yeah.
I don't know how far into it they were, but they were.
Well,
It
I
was
saw
animating.
props. It looked like props were made, or at
They had
least
they had the
prototypes.
designs at least, and it was going to be an animated
Yeah,
movie. And then
yeah,
it was
maquettes, I
going.
should say. I said props, but
Yeah,
like I saw
maquettes.
like full maquettes
Yeah,
drafted up, and it was
right.
beautiful.
And
The artwork too they had.
yeah, so 20th Century Fox was doing that. And it was actually it was gonna be this is live action here on IMDb. I pulled it up real quick.
Oh, okay.
Um Wes Ball was directing it. Uh Andy Serkis was in it. So obviously they're doing a lot of motion capture.
Yeah.
Um try to hear what Wes Ball's in it. Oh, he did the Maze Runner movies. That's right, I knew his name. He worked on those. He's worked in art department, stuff like that. Director, Maze Runner movies, Ruin, Jacob the movie. He's got a couple movies upcoming. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Now it says here, Mouse Guard is director is pre-production, so that could have changed, and where they may have gotten another, or like Disney released it, so now they've shopped it out to
Mhm.
somebody else.
Yep.
Because again, it was under their 20th Century Fox companies. I'm not sure exactly which one, uh, but yeah, it says here he was forced to cancel it. He released test footage of the film online, so
Yeah.
there is some test footage. Um, but he's listed as in pre-production, but that could be just something they never changed,
Right.
and stuff like that. So,
But so if Disney chooses to never do anything with this, at some point, hopefully he has in the contract that the rights will revert to him if they do nothing. And then
right,
he will have the right to either do something himself with it or find another person who wants to pay for those rights.
yeah,
So it's a way of protecting us, the creators. So then you get into this situation though where companies will make something just to retain that right, even if they don't want it now.
yeah. So here's actually, I'll share this real quick. We won't watch the whole thing because it's like 6 minutes long, but they were quite a few ways into it. Then, what I'm
I
seeing here,
remembered like a whole studio set up and all kinds of stuff in there.
yeah. There we go. It's just a rough edit.
It's already cool.
Yeah.
It's a
Skip over
cool
ahead for a
shot
minute.
because that shot really gives the perspective of scale,
Yeah.
of how it's a mouse village.
And I mean, you can tell that was still very needed to be cleaned up more, but yeah, I think it would have been a really good movie in
Yeah,
that.
yeah, he's
So I
got a
know
phenomenal storyline.
Dave got money for it initially.
Yeah,
He's also listed as a writer, so he would have got paid on that. If they went into production, which is what they did, then that at least got certain guarantees that people got
right,
paid on. But Disney came in and said canceled it when the merger happened.
right.
Uh, Everybody speculated because they already have their mouse. They didn't want to do another mouse movie in that,
Yeah,
because they have Mickey. But I would be nice to see if somebody else would continue it, pick it up, go from there. May
he has
never
a
happen.
lot. He has a lot of issues in books for
Yeah,
his
he's got
universe
several
he's created.
books. Yeah, he's created a full universe. When you see Dave Peterson at the shows, it's all Mouse Guard based stuff. He's done a few other things here and there. He's worked on other stuff.
Have you seen? I haven't seen him in a bit at shows. Does he
Yeah, I
still
saw
do
him.
shows?
Yeah, he
Did
does
you?
some. He doesn't do as
Okay,
many. I saw him at Baltimore last
Baltimore.
year.
Yeah,
So,
that's usually where
somewhere
I like him.
I saw him somewhere this year too. He
Yeah.
only does a few shows. I think I think he does like San Diego still every year. That might have
Hmm.
been where I saw him at.
Okay.
But I saw him and his wife Julie down at Baltimore. I had a chance to talk to them for just a minute. Always good seeing them.
Yeah.
But yeah, he created a whole. He's got a whole series and stuff. I've got the original first in the first trade, but I got the first comics, not the very first one. The very first comic he did was a self-published version.
Hmm.
And then Arcadia or whatever picked him up because he talked to them and they liked it. And that's how he got distributed and went from there. But I didn't pick up the original one. I wish I had because it was at Motor City Comic Con. I just didn't get it. But I know that somebody bought the original cover art technically pretty cheap
Yeah.
because he hadn't priced it, everything. He was just really getting started, didn't know how to price it. And someone bought it and they've got it now. And it's going to be worth literally probably $10,000. So,
Yeah.
because it's very popular in that. Hey, Kevin.
Kevin's in the house.
Yeah, but definitely a lot of stuff he created. Just a lot of books. There's some stories he didn't write, but other people wrote, and he did different little, like the Legends of the Guard and things like that. And then he's got an RPG created. So he's got a lot of product built around his stuff.
Yeah.
So
Very
definitely
cool.
check out Mouse Guard. You can go to, and this is a free plug, so just go to mouse-guard.net, and that's his website. And you can check out all the stuff on Mouse Guard. I enjoyed the read. I pretty much have everything, I think. So
Nice.
definitely check that out.
So Another thing we got to do is we each watched a new Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
Yeah, I watched it at home because it was on Peacock, and then Scott, you went and saw it in the theater though.
Yes, I saw it in the theater. I enjoyed it. I thought it was, you never know with a video game adaptation what you're going to get, and with with like Five Nights at Freddy, there's a cool kind of background mythology to their storyline,
Hmm.
but it wasn't like a deep story. So I was curious, like, is there going to be enough to tell a full movie story? And I thought they did well.
Yeah, they tied in the lore of Five Nights at Freddy's with a story following the main character and his sister that he's
Yeah,
now raising, and a little bit of stuff tied in there. They didn't get too deep into that. I'm glad they didn't spend too much time on that aspect. What they did was necessary for the story to kind of keep it flowing through what they were doing. So,
yeah,
but it definitely the animatronics, the design of the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Place was really good. It did 80 million at the movies, so I mean that's really good considering it was
yeah.
dropped on Peacock the day before. So,
Yeah. So that was the number one horror movie of the year for opening weekend.
yeah,
And then for viewership on Peacock, it was also record breaking for them as well.
yeah,
So it was their most watched film or series within first 5 days.
and I can see people have seen it in the theater and then coming home going, "Oh my gosh, it's on Peacock," and watching it again.
Yeah.
Because I enjoyed it. I started watching it on Thursday, and about half an hour into it, my power went out. Just at a key moment in
Oh,
in one of
yeah.
those scenes.
Perfectly timed moment.
I was like, "What the crap?"
And when the power
And
came back on, you had a big like slice on your arm, and you're like,
yeah,
"What the heck?" No,
no,
just kidding.
I went to sleep because the power didn't come back on until like 2 in the morning. So I
Did
had
you
to get up
dream
and go to
of
work.
Nebraska?
No, but I had to go to had to get up and go to work. I probably dreamt of having to get up and go to work. So nightmare in
uh,
itself.
as far as the movie goes, Jim Henson's studios did the puppets, the large,
The
characters.
animatronics, they did the
Yeah,
suits for people.
yeah. So
Uh,
they top
Phenomenal
notch.
job. Yeah,
Uh,
production quality on the sets was really. I mean, the
yeah,
main set is the Freddy Fazbear Pizza Place.
yeah. They nailed it
So
down to a perfection as far as the look and feel.
yeah, you see a lot of the aspects the game itself. I've only played a little bit of the first game, which is primarily like a tablet or phone game, uh,
Yeah, a very simple one.
and that's what it was. And it took off. Gosh, when did that come out? I'm looking up real quickly. When it came out,
2017,
yeah,
16. I want to say 17, but I don't remember.
yeah. I mean, see, I remember when it came out because a lot of the guys that we know arch wise, 2014.
Oh
So it's
wow,
been a
that
while.
long ago.
Yeah, it was. That was, the first one was, and they've done several since then. I mean, you can even get them on like PS4 and PS5 now, Xbox. They have ports over for that. But I remember when it came out, all the kids love it. They're like, and I would say though, about 90% of the kids I talk to at Comic Cons that say they love Five Nights at Freddy's don't play the game. They watch YouTube players play the game, and they like watch them get scared because it was all jump scares. It wasn't gory or anything else. It was just a jump scare game. And then the
Yeah,
lore started coming out a few games into it about how the animatronics were possessed by dead children, things like that. So I mean, it's definitely got a very dark undertone to it that they created throughout the whole thing. So
yeah. One thing I found interesting, and I'm trying to find how it. So at least through the grapevine. So take this with a grain of salt. I don't know if this is true or not, but what I've always heard is he was the creator of Five Nights at Freddy is a Christian, and
mhm.
he was trying to make Christian video games. He would make some, and nothing was really taken. And a friend of his did a bet with him, like, "Oh, I bet you can't do a scary game." So he took the bet. I was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, okay, I'll see what I can come up with." And he came up with Five Nights at Freddy, and it just exploded.
Yeah, according to Wikipedia, it says here he began
Oh,
developing Christian and family games to
oh,
minimum
there you go.
success. He transitioned over to the Five Nights at Freddy game in 2014 with commercial success. He
Yeah.
gained a cult following. Now, I was trying to see if it says it here. I'd read something at one time before. He was working at a Kroger, making like
Yes.
35,000 a year
Yep.
when Five Nights at Freddy's came out and exploded, where he literally was making more than that in a month
Oh
by
yeah,
downloads of the game.
it
So
was literally an overnight success.
yeah.
We were at a show, and I remember Terry Huddleston. So he had the inside track through his children.
Yep.
They were playing this game and he noticed how much they liked it. So he's like, I'm going to create artwork based on this.
Mhm.
And like out of nowhere, like everybody who was under 15, do you have Five Nights at Freddy's? Do you have Five Nights at Freddy? And I'm like, what are you even saying? Because they would like blur it into one word. And like, what is Five Nights at Freddy's? What's this? And then Terry had this and he was selling out.
Yeah.
And then
I
all of
I
us
did a
started
couple.
doing artwork.
I did 3 total pieces. I did one of the main 3 characters. I did one of the Foxy character, and then I did a Minions version to
Yeah.
have, which I still have them, but I'm about done selling them because
And,
I'm getting ready to purge so much of my old stuff.
yeah.
So,
But like that whole year, if you had Five Nights at Freddy's, you were going to sell out or close to it.
oh
Like
yeah, kids that come up all
everybody,
the time. I was,
oh, give me that,
and
give me that, give me that.
yeah, I sold my prints for like $15 a piece at that point, and kids that come
Yeah.
up, how much is it? You got $10 cash? Yours, yours. Kids would just buy it like crazy. I'd sell it almost every show for at least the first year.
So here's the genius
So
of Five Nights at Freddy's, though.
yeah,
It's a horror genre, but it's not gory. It's done at a level where a 10-year-old child can watch it. The whole thing with the game is it's not that impressive, honestly, as a game,
Mhm.
but they have these jump scares where it appears. And it's just thrilling and scary enough to like a 10-year-old. It makes them jump and then they
Mhm.
laugh and they want more. And with the movie, I'm glad they did it as PG-13. They kept it where that young crowd, if they like Goosebumps or that kind of level of scary, they could watch this. There's maybe 2 scenes in the movie that might be a little intense for a 10-year-old, maybe, but they don't go too far, I don't think.
Yeah,
Um, and it's just scary enough. So if you have children who like scary, this is it. This
yeah.
movie will fit that niche.
And he's got a lot of credits on different games. He's worked in the video game industry since the '90s, so
Yeah.
he's done a lot of different stuff. He transitioned. I mean, he even worked on like but you can see that in 2000, he working on like Pilgrim's Progress, the video game. That's a Christian game, stuff like that. He's working on a few
Mm-hmm.
others. He even did like Vegas Fantasy Jackpot, Vegas Wild Slots. So, stuff like that. He worked on. Doesn't mean he owned them. So they
Right.
came out. But so he had a mix of stuff between that. But his personal stuff was the Christian stuff, and then he switched over to the Five Nights at Freddy's,
Yeah.
and that just took off.
Yeah.
From there, and that's been a lot of what he's credited for since then.
And I have to
He's
admit,
he's
oh,
not
go ahead.
handling a lot of the day-to-day stuff anymore. He's handling
Right.
he's just gonna let other people oversee it. So
But I have to admit, this was hot in 2014.
mhm.
2015 and 16, we were hearing rumors of a movie.
Yes.
And come 2018, I was still hearing rumors and I was starting to think, I think he missed the boat. But evidently not. It's really tracking well. It's got a good turnout.
They still have a lot of merchandise out there in the
Yeah.
stores. The games have still steadily come out. I think what happened was this should have been out a couple years ago. COVID set it back a little bit. Part of it was getting the financing was going to do it, and there was actually they were working with Warner Brothers at one time,
Mhm.
and then something happened and they pulled it away from Warner Brothers. So they must have had an ironclad deal. And then Warner Brothers did that Banana Splits animatronic horror movie.
Oh yeah.
Because they had, I think, started on some of the stuff. And I think part of it was they didn't like the direction they were going with the animatronics.
Yeah.
And they pulled back and got a new production
When
deal.
they
And
got
that's when they brought in
Bloomhouse
Henson.
involved, and
Yeah,
Bloomhouse,
Bloomhouse took it over. Yeah.
they also did Megan, which was a good success. And that was
Yeah.
also a PG-13 horror movie. So they're finding a nice little niche here with these films that aren't so bad that only adults can go to.
Yeah. I
So
mean, the thing with this is you don't need to have a continuous slasher, gory, everything to have it be scary and fun.
yeah.
And it doesn't have to necessarily scare you all the time. I watched this movie, I didn't really get scared per se. There's a couple of times you could have a quick jump scare, but it's kind of a lot of times, even like Megan, I didn't really get scared, but you like that kind of horror
They keep
where the
attention to
story.
it. That's
Yeah.
good. Yeah, and there's a good twist to the storyline. I felt. I don't want to give the spoiler, but
No, I think it's too soon
yeah.
to give too much detail because I
Yeah,
think people
I
still
wouldn't give
want to go
that,
see
but
it.
there's a good twist. I will say when the credit starts, there's a small mid-credit scene shortly after credit starts. So just if you stay seated for about 3 more minutes,
Mhm.
you'll probably see that. And
Yeah, and I
then
was just
nothing
reading
after that.
here about Warner Brothers. Basically production delays. Is what happened to it. So in March 2017,
Yeah,
Bloomhouse Productions announced a new production company with Chris Columbus set to direct and co-write. He left the project, But a lot of times, I think Chris Columbus comes into these projects just to help them get a name and then steps back.
Yeah,
Um,
get it started.
yeah, and then basically by the time they got announced as a replacement, it was Emma Tammy in October of last year. They looked like filming again in February of this year in New Orleans, ended in April. So it was, I mean,
Oh,
they do short productions anyways with Blumhouse.
yeah,
Blumhouse has got it down. He's really got a great factory going of making movies, and
yeah.
he understands how to not spend forever on this stuff. Get it out there, keep your costs lower, and get the movie out there. And they make money because people like the stories. Megan was very good. I like that.
Mhm. Yeah,
There's
that
a
has
lot of
potential to have. That could become a 2-3 movie series easily.
and there's only a $20 million production budget. So I mean, they're really watching this stuff. I mean, they're not. I mean, what's his name that stars in it is
Josh Hutchinson.
yeah, I like him. I've seen a bunch of stuff. He's not a huge name, but he's known for the Hunger Games
He's
and other
Pita,
stuff. Yeah. But he's a good actor. I liked what he did in this. And
and he looks exactly the same as 20 years ago in the Hunger Games, or however long it was. It wasn't 20, but
yeah, he's not really aged much unless he
yeah.
was younger then. He's only like in his 30s now. So
He's aging in reverse. He's like
yeah.
Mork.
But
yeah, it was good. It was
yeah.
worth seeing if you like that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed how the story unfolded. I mean, you know what's going to happen is the animatronics are going to attack. That's a given. But how the story leads to that is what is the key. And the story sucked. Nobody's going to care if the animatronics are attacking. So
Right.
So, and I like the girl that played the police
cop?
officer. She was good. Yeah. So, and of course, Matthew Lillard makes a nice appearance there at the beginning as he's kind of like running a agency for
Security
jobs.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So it took me a second though. When I first saw him, like, is that him?
Yeah. Josh Hutcherson, he's 31 now, so he's still
31?
quite young. So, and he was 18 when he landed the role for the Hunger Games. So,
okay.
But he's done a few things. Check him out. I mentioned Scott Future Man on Hulu. The first season is great. The rest sucked. I didn't realize he also voiced the lead character in the Ultraman series they did back in 2019. So a lot of cool stuff there. So
nice.
So definitely check it out. I recommend it. I said if you got Peacock, watch it. Otherwise, if you're looking for movies, heck, go to the movies and see it. It would play. It would play well on the big screen.
Mm-hmm.
So,
faux show.
Yeah.
All right. You want to talk really fast about Loki and Gen V?
Yeah, Loki. It's dragging on too much. This story needs to be done.
I like this story, but they've stretched it out too far.
Yeah, it should have been an hour and a half movie.
Yeah, this was a movie. Perfect movie.
And they're just dragging on for these half-hour episodes. So we got a couple more left in that. I'm liking
because it's feeling like too much. Like the things that they could wrap up really easy. It's like, oh wait, we need a 10-minute running scene of chasing somebody through things. It's like, okay, you chased someone last episode, you chased someone the episode before that. Like, you can shorten it up.
Yeah, it's just a little too much. And so we have an episode dropping tomorrow night, and then the finale is next Thursday.
So last week's episode, I'm curious on your thought. It's okay to talk spoilers since it's last week's episode, right?
I think it's been long enough. If anybody's watched it, they've already watched it. So
like with Renslayer, they killed her off. The way they killed her off, do you think she's really dead, or like it just seemed very anticlimactic how they killed her off?
Yeah, they just kind of killed her, and I was like, okay, that's crazy because she's been a big part of this story. Miss Minutes has been kind of coordinating things. Then you've got Timely, controlling her now, and I just
even what happened with Timely, he just all of a sudden he disintegrates.
Yeah,
and so I'm wondering, is this going to turn into the origin story of how he becomes Kang, where he can move back and forth through time or whatever?
Yeah, or He Who Remains or whatever.
Yeah, because he's definitely a different type of character.
Well, they were trying to also fix the loom, the temporal loom, and they blew that up.
Right, so it ends on a cliffhanger of Loki, like everything going to black.
Yeah,
and so I am curious to see where this next episode starts.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time.
or will all timelines exist simultaneously? Is that where they're going? And then they
Could
got to
be.
fix it.
I don't know. I think that Marvel as a whole, with this whole multiverse timeline stuff,
They've lost
basically
control.
they lost where they're going. It's like we've talked about. There's like the Flash, too many jumps through time,
Yep.
messes everything up. It's they control. They try to do way too many different things, and
Yeah.
realistically, they had. I think this should have been fixed through. They with Loki, they're putting out anymore, but it was created through Spider-Man. Ant-Man should have dealt with it more and tied it in through the quantum realm. They really didn't.
And
They
then
had,
they could have used Doctor Strange to fix it.
yeah,
Have
but
a three
having all
arc
these,
move. You know.
yeah, having these timelines doesn't do anything good. I mean, it's too much of them bouncing around. What's this? What's everything's falling apart.
Right.
And the timelines in Marvel and DC Comics wasn't so much about them crossing paths as a way for them to reboot
Hmm.
different storylines. You know, you can only have it, like, okay, we're going to do
Yeah.
Spider-Man differently. Well, he's a different timeline, so it doesn't cross with the other one
Right.
story
The
wise.
best use of time jumps, I think, is where time isn't the main premise, like Doctor Who or Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
That's part of the whole premise. But I think Star Trek is the best example of how to use time because they use it sparingly, and there's not unlimited rules where you can just keep going back and back and back. It's just
Right.
they do use it, but it's sparingly, and it furthers the story instead of the story becoming dependent upon it.
Yeah.
And I think that's where Marvel got trapped with the multiverse is they don't I because maybe it's tied into what we talked about last week. They don't have showrunners and these different things, so everybody's just like dabbling in, oh, this is cool, I'm going to put my spin on the multiverse, and
Right.
they're all coming up with these things that are all disjointed. They don't feel like a cohesive thing. Like the way Loki deals with the multiverse doesn't feel like the way Doctor Strange dealt with it, or the way Peter Parker dealt with it, or the Spider-Verse deals with it. It feels disjointed.
It does.
So
And that's been the problem since day one and all this. And it goes back to what we've talked about for so long on this is they had no direction.
yeah.
And having no showrunner, we talked about about what a showrunner is recently. It's
Yeah, it could have made a really cool phase. The entire phase could dealt with the multiverse, but
yeah.
you have to be disciplined in how you use it. And
Well, and I think what it been is they needed a direction with it. They needed a thing by introducing the Kang character and say now there's like at the end of Ant-Man was like a million of them and
yeah,
stuff like that. It was just too much. It should have
right,
been more of a, okay, we're gonna build these 3-4 movies to get to this point to deal with the timeline and Kang, fix it,
right,
or show okay it's splintered, but now they don't intersect. And then when they
right,
release new movies, say this falls under the Ultimates for universe, this falls under the
right.
standard Marvel universe. It doesn't have to be, and then they can do these
Because
separate movies that would be something completely different. They don't have to be tied into the regular thing,
yeah,
like you
because
talked about wanting to do. So
like with the disjointed nature of it, the Kang they introduce in Loki season one doesn't doesn't feel anything like the Kang in Ant Man. Doesn't
right,
feel anything like the Kang in Loki season two. It's like
mhm,
how what's the connecting point?
yeah,
And you got to do, and maybe the loom exploding or whatever happened here, maybe this is where we will see now the multiverse Kangs all coexisting. Maybe that was the trigger point that allowed them all to cross over. I don't know. We'll find out next
I don't
week,
know.
I
So a
guess.
lot of ways, I just don't think the direction is going to be anything resolving. I think it's just going to be
Yeah, I feel like it's all a mess.
yeah,
They
and
they almost have the opposite problem DC has. DC's problem is Warner Brothers Studios thinks they know too much, and they put their fingers in the pot too much. Marvel is not doing it enough. They're just like, yeah, everyone do whatever they want. So,
yeah, and then with the Marvels movie coming out,
which no
uh,
one cares about.
yeah, but that's comes out telling
The
that
10th,
Thursday night, but it comes out the day of the last episode. Loki is like, does what Loki have anything to do with this movie? Did they try
right,
to tie it in that tight? Because I mean, the Marvels itself is from the not just the first movie, but also the TV show.
right.
Uh,
Both
Ms.
shows.
Marvel.
It's the Miss Marvel. I don't know what they're calling her. Who was
Ms.
in?
Marvel series, and then they had the Captain Marvel movie.
But they also had WandaVision, where we had Monica Rambeau get her powers, and she's in this.
Right. Yeah, so they're tying in through that.
Yeah.
So, and we've already dealt with in the last Doctor Strange movie, they dealt with the Wanda aspect of stuff.
Right.
But it's like, is this going to be tying in some timeline stuff, or is this just those two characters' movies coming together and here's a new villain, but it's not going to matter, just like it did with Godslayer.
Right.
Or Butcher, God
Butcher.
Yeah.
Gore.
Yeah. Yeah, Gore the God Butcher. Yeah. So, I mean, I have no desire to go see the Marvels at this time. I'll probably watch it when it hits Disney at some point.
Yeah.
We're not making a rush to go see it. Mainly because I just didn't care for Brie Larson. I thought she was very flat in everything she's done in the Marvels. A lot of her interview stuff, she kind of trashed a lot of stuff. And I just never cared for that aspect of it. And then didn't care that the Captain Marvel was a female. They'd done that in the comics years before, but they didn't bring the right actress in. Katie Sackhoff, I think, would have been a much better actress.
I agree. And she would have respected the franchise more, and I think maintained the fan base better.
I think so. Yeah, definitely. And that's where they were. And then the Mrs. Marvel TV show, I tried to watch it. It just wasn't for me. Of course, I've been told it's because I'm old. It was for younger audiences. I watched a couple episodes. It didn't grab me. I didn't find it intriguing enough to want to keep watching it. So I never did finish that. So but I don't know.
All right. And then the last thing is Gen V. I'm still enjoying that. I think they're going some interesting ways here with revealing. Seems like everybody knows about the woods and everybody's involved with the creation of it and keeping it going. And, you can't trust anybody, but I'm still enjoying it, and we'll see where the ending goes.
Yeah, and I think this week is the last episode. Episode 8.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I think it is. At least for this season, but it sounds like it also got renewed. So
yes, I really like it. I'm looking forward to those episodes more than Loki. Loki comes out and it's like over the weekend. It's like, I guess I should watch it. And like I said, I'm enjoying it, but it's not like must see TV at all.
Yeah. And then last thing, we won't talk about it because I don't think you've watched it yet, but this launched. I found this out last week, and they're dropping like 2 episodes at a time right now. There you are. Sorry. Upload came on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you were watching that before.
Is that with Robbie Amell?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Season 3 is out.
I never saw the first season, and it sounds good. It sounds like I'll like it, but for some reason, it just never got around to it.
I like the first. It's like a half-hour show, so it's an easy one to jump into. I like the first 2 seasons. The third season's a little different. It's interesting. I like where it's kind of going to see what's going. In some ways, it feels like they're trying to wrap it up, though.
Okay.
I've not fully said that, but I think it's some way they're going to wrap up the storyline in this season.
I feel like with streaming services, getting past the 3rd season is hard. So you probably, 3 seasons is probably a decent run for streaming.
I think so. We're not going to see in streaming these ongoing series for a long time.
Yeah.
It's just fine. I like good, solid stories. I mean, the things that we see, like when NCIS comes back, I think it's like the 21st season. But it's changed enough over the years where it's not really the same show it was before. So
yeah.
But it's also something that going to be changed on that. So so if you get a chance to check out Upload, check that out.
Cool.
When the season's done, maybe I'll get a recap of it or something.
All right. I think that's everything.
Yeah. All right, man. Hey,
now you guys know what we know.
Yeah. And we'll see you all next week. Have a good one.